Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Maria and today I'm going to briefly discuss banking system here in Northern Cyprus. Banking system in Northern Cyprus has somewhat limited features to it. Why? Because we are not internationally recognized. We are only recognized by Turkey, right? So hence why we don't have a private SWIFT code for international transfers, but then later on I'll explain you how it works in here, because international transfers do take place. It's not difficult to transfer the money over here from overseas, but again it's got some special unique features to it. Okay, let's talk about local banks. We've got about 9 local banks that were incorporated here in Northern Cyprus, and the main one I would start with is KKTC Merkez Bankası or KOA Bank. It's a central bank of Northern Cyprus. It's one of the oldest and the biggest banks in here, and I would say the most reliable ones if you do decide to conduct some sort of business, open a business and run a business here in Northern Cyprus. Second largest bank after KOA Bank would be Vakıflar Bankası. That's another big bank, one of the oldest ones here in Northern Cyprus, that's proven to be very reliable, trustworthy, and also very accessible in terms of the transactions. There is also Ash Bank, that's linked to Altinbaş Group, that is very famous for its online banking system that are very convenient to use. Another one would be Credit West Bank. Credit West Bank is somewhat younger bank, but at the same time they've proven to be very technologically upgraded, perfect online banking system as well, and very accessible to the clientele. They have a lot of branches across Northern Cyprus, amazing service, and actually this is one of the banks that I'm using as a local bank. Aside of those 4 main ones, we do have Nova Bank, we have Near East Bank. Near East Bank is a bank that is somewhat affiliated with another group of Near East, which is universities, catering, and some other services being provided, so it's a holding. Then we have Capital Bank, does operate in the same way. It's a holding basically of different types of businesses within one company, including Capital Bank. There are also Sheker Bank and Universal Bank. Those are the smallest banks that you will find here in Northern Cyprus. So aside of local banks that were incorporated here in Northern Cyprus, we have presence of 5 different Turkish banks. And of course, one of the main ones would be Ziraat Bankası. Ziraat is the central bank of Turkey, and they've got a lot of branches over here, so that would have one of the strongest presence in here. We have Vakıflar Bankası, okay, that's another Turkish bank. We also have İşbank, Garanti Bank, and Halkbank, okay. All of those banks have very strong presence in here. They've got a few branches across the island, and they're very easy accessible. So the main difference between local banks and Turkish banks is the fact that Turkish banks, they've got international recognition, right? That means that international bank transfers are being a lot easier conducted via Turkish accounts. So that's something to know. But again, if you are looking to open a bank account, but you don't have the residency permit on your hands just yet of Northern Cyprus, then in that case, Turkish banks, they are not going to open an account for you. You must have a residency in here to have an account with a Turkish bank. Unlike with local banks, especially with Co-op or Credit West Bank, you can open a bank account without having a residency. The only way you can open a bank account is if you provide a proof of your address internationally. And the proof of that address can be like anything from a phone bill or maybe a utility bill that you can translate into English and present to the bank. And based on that, you will have your account being open. Basically, you'll need your passport and you will need a proof of your address and of course some sort of money, right? So that's a lot easier way, but then again, you open a bank account here in local banks based on your proof of your address and your passport, but then you won't be able to receive a physical card just yet. To receive a physical card, you actually do have to have a residency. But again, having your account being open gives you enough freedom in the sense that you can put the money in, you can take the money out, you can do the transfers, you can do the money exchange. Basically, you will have an application and you can use it to 100% capacity, doing everything with your money that you would like, but you won't have the card. Instead of the card, you would need to go to the bank, take the cash out, and use cash instead in here, okay? It's some sort of inconvenience, but then again, you will have your bank account in here that you can transfer money to from overseas, keep in any of the currencies, whether it's pounds, Turkish lira, USD, or euro, and then have them exchanged, taken out, etc. So since local banks don't have the SWIFT code, the way it's done, let me give you an example based on my own experience. So I have a bank account in Credit West Bank, right? When I transfer the money from overseas, I do put as a recipient Credit West Bank itself, right? And the SWIFT code of a Turkish bank that's assigned to the Credit West Bank. Basically, only in the description place, on the description note, I put my own bank account name and my account number. Okay, that way basically the recipient, the main recipient, is the Credit West Bank itself, and then once they receive the money, they do distribute it into the accounts according to the description note. Of course, it's not something that we're used to, and it works in a different way comparing to the rest of the countries across the globe, but that's how it is. Basically, the main bank, the main recipient would be a Credit West via Swift code of Turkey Bank, and then your account would be in the description note. So keep that in mind, because that's a mistake that a lot of clients or a lot of residents do make on their first transaction. So make sure you do consult with the assistant at the bank branch before you do conduct your first international transfer, to make sure you don't make any mistakes. Another main thing is that, banks, they would normally ask you to put a deposit of, let's say, 500 euros or something to put into your bank account that are being frozen, just a security deposit type of thing. So that security deposit can vary from branch to branch. In one branch, they can tell you that you would need to put 500. In another branch, they can tell you that you can put 300. In a third branch, they can tell you that you need to put 1,000 euros into your deposit, right? Those money, they don't go anywhere, they remain yours, but they're just being frozen in your bank account. So those kind of things, they do exist in Northern Cyprus, and here it's something that you need to get used to. There is no strict rules. I mean, there is a strict rule, but it applies differently in different branches, basically. I faced it myself. Let's say my first bank account I opened, that was in Credit West Bank, and that was 3 years ago. We didn't need no residency to get a card and open a bank account, whatever. But as the time passed, things have changed, and I'm hearing that people do need to put deposits in their bank account. Anyways, let me give you an example. When I was opening a bank account in Ziran Bank, right? I went to the main branch in Girne. They've told me that I need to put a deposit of 5,000 euros, and that's a minimum to open a bank account, with me having a residency of Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus on hand. Okay, I was like, okay, fine, whatever. We didn't open an account then. We were traveling to Lefkoşa the following day, and I was like, out of curiosity, let's try out Lefkoşa branch. We went to Lefkoşa, and what do you think? They've asked me only for 1,000 euro deposit. So that's the same bank, different branches. That's how it works in here, right? So bear that in mind. If you think the deposit is somewhat too high, go to try out another branch. Maybe it will be a lot lower. So one of the very interesting facts about banking system here in Northern Cyprus is the exchange rates, right? Because we come with European type of currency and we exchange it for Turkish lira. The exchange rate always works in the favor of a client, and it doesn't matter whether it's a physical office outside on the streets, whether it's a banking system where you exchange, let's say, European type of currency into Turkish lira, the commission rate is always very, very, very low. The only time you are charged double is when, let's say, you would like to exchange pounds into euros, because that's when they double charge you. To exchange, let's say, pounds into euros, you would need to exchange pounds into Turkish lira first, and then Turkish lira needs to be converted into euros. That's the way it works. You can't change from pounds to euros straight away. They double charge you, but even then, the exchange commission still very low. That's being charged here, whether it's a bank or physical office. So that's one of the things to bear in mind. And then, of course, because Turkish lira is always depreciating, we never store our currency in Turkish lira. Basically, in my bank account, I would always have dollars and pounds and euros, and then whenever I run out of Turkish lira, I would just exchange a few hundreds of, let's say, euros into Turkish lira and then keep on spending it from the card. It's better to spend in Turkish lira over here, let's be honest with you, because again, what some restaurants started doing, they started charging you exchange rate higher. That's where you get actually charged. And we've noticed it only recently. I think it's an extra way for the restaurants to make money, so be mindful of that. Before, they would just take a Google rate, let's put it that way, like they don't charge you any commission. But recently, because expenses have gone up, the wages have gone up, the taxes have gone up, restaurants, they're trying to make some sort of money aside without increasing prices for the dishes drastically. So what they do, basically, if you pay in euros, in dollars, they do charge you quite a bit of commission rates. So that's pretty much all, my dear friends. I hope that's been helpful to you. If you do have any other questions, please comment below and I will happily answer them. I might have left some information out. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.